Hi, I'm Sujantra with Pilgrimage of the Heart Yoga. At our yoga studios and on our online studio, we offer asana, or the postures of yoga. We also, rather uniquely, offer pranayama, and I'm here today with one of our experts in teaching pranayama. I'd like to welcome Lauren.
Thank you, Sujantra. Thank you for having me.
Many yoga students, people who are doing yoga all around the world now, millions and millions of people, are very familiar with the postures of yoga, what we would call the asanas. Pranayama you don't see as often. It's one of the 8 limbs of yoga, the 4th limb of yoga, and I'm wondering how, in very simple layman's terms, you would describe pranayama. What is pranayama?
Well, I think if we want to break it down to its barest bones, we could describe pranayama as the practice of conscious breathing, bringing awareness to the movement of your breath and the energies that result from that.
I go through whole days where I'm not even conscious of my breath. And when I get in my head and start just going off into my whole thought world, I find that if I just bring my awareness back to my breath, even for 1 or 2 conscious breaths, it makes a huge difference. Why is that?
Well, first of all, by bringing your attention to your breath, you're sort of severing that communication line between the rapid thoughts that are running around and refocusing them on a single point. But in addition to that, when we start to breathe a little bit more slowly and a little bit more consciously, it sends a message to the body, the mind, the emotions that all is well. So in that way, we can always rein in our rapid thought patterns.
And so when you say that it sends a signal to the body that all's well, how physiologically, what's going on there?
So during our exhalation, the heart rate slightly slows down. And when we start to consciously bring the practice of extended exhalations, for example, into our breath, our heart rates and our systems will just settle down a little bit. The breath is intimately connected to the nervous system, so we really do have the power to send that message of well-being.
A lot of times I remind myself that my actual physical body doesn't know it's in the 21st century. It could just as well be out in the wilderness or the jungles 10,000 years ago. And there's so much coming at us, so much information, so much stress, so many things, sounds, that the pranayama is really effective. And how do you use it in your day-to-day life to stay calm and relaxed?
So when I'm having those moments where I feel overwhelmed by my external circumstances, generally I'll take a little 2 or 3 minute breath break in which I practice some clearing breaths, taking a big breath in, pausing for just a moment to feel the fullness of my lungs, and then I'll take a big exhalation out through my mouth and even add to that a little visualization as though I'm physically expelling those stresses from my life. I follow that with 3 or 4 of my regular breaths that I just watch as a witness and enjoy. Usually it takes about 2 or 3 rounds for me to settle down, but after that I have hours of calm.
And I've enjoyed taking your pranayama classes. I come out of there really clear-minded and feel very energized. I'm wondering what goes on in the courses you teach. So you teach pranayama classes, but you also teach more in-depth studies of pranayama for teachers and students. What goes on in those programs? So
the practice classes are just that. They're to actually experience the breaths and to enjoy the meditative state that can be brought on and the re-energizing and revitalizing that can go on. The trainings for pranayama are significantly more in-depth. We study the anatomy of the respiration system, including the muscles and organs involved in breath. We talk about blood gas exchange and the role of carbon dioxide in our breathing. And we also talk about the energetic anatomy of pranayama, which deals with our chakra system, with our nadis, and things that we can do to enhance the existing prana in our bodies, practicing the energetic seals, the bandhas, and also looking at some of the obstacles to pranayama in the form of the granthis. We study over 17 different techniques.
In terms of the who? The granthis?
The granthis.
And who or what are they?
These are obstacles to progression in pranayama. So they have Sanskrit names, and it could take us days if we wanted to go through all of them and their different manifestations. But we start to examine the things that will get in our way. And some of them are physical reactions, and some of them are mental patterns that we're just accustomed to holding on to.
Pranayama traditionally is well, it comes out of the Indian yoga tradition. But I see so much now in the Western world about the science of meditation and relaxation involving breath control. So looking at it from a scientific view, how is pranayama helping me? What's going on physiologically?
Great question. So our world is crazy. We have a lot of demands on our time. We have all of these devices that we're involved with, and there's a sort of a glorification of busy. And that level of activity or stress causes production of cortisol, the stress hormone in our bodies. And it can come to the point where we're actually feeling tremendous fatigue from having all of this stress hormone present in our systems.
Because we're constantly in a state of stress.
Constantly in a state of stress. So when we come to practices like meditation, and even more specifically a practice like pranayama, where we're actively controlling our breath practice, we start to settle down the overproduction of cortisol, and in fact, we encourage the production of the calming hormones that will balance out our experience and essentially allow our systems to get out of that overdrive gear.
Well, it sure is great having you here at Pilgrimage of the Heart and Pilgrimage of the Heart online, offering and teaching this to so many people.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you, Sujantra.
This is Sujantra, and thanks for joining us and learning about the art and science of pranayama.